said to me, she said, well, I also have a painting by James Earl Ray. Do you know who that is?
Unfamiliar.
He is the assassin of Martin Luther King.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Upon saying that, she also said to me, but he didn't do it. I was like,
So did the record scratch?
Basically.
Someone in the back dropped a stack of plates.
The hillbilly music continued to play. It was still solid hillbilly jams playing. And yeah, I mean, I got a quick lesson in that James Earl Ray did not kill Martin Luther King. I sipped my beer very quietly and very slowly, and just listened. Didn't want to engage in the conversation too much. So within 10 minutes, I was told that the races shouldn't mix, which I was having. It was terrifying.
So it was basically what you would expect from like the 1940s down there, except it's 2021.
Dead in the middle of the city. This was not even in the suburbs. This
Holy
was dead.
shit!
Yeah, so, it was a weird time. So
wait, did you end up, just out of curiosity, did you end up buying the shirt?
I
off
did
her
buy the
back?
shirt off of her. Yep.
Okay.
You could smoke in bars down there still. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No.
Oh,
wait. Are they smoking meth? Or are they smoking cigarettes?
They for sure were smoking meth somewhere in there. So, anyways, I bought the shirt that night, but she told me she had shirts. More shirts, and I should come back in the next day. So the next day, I walk into the bar again.
Oh, there's a round 2 with this bitch?
Yes,
okay.
there is. Yep. Next day, I walk in, and there's a crackhead in the bar, and he has like home goods all over the bar. And I walked in, and she looked at me, and she was like, "This is the Home Shopping Network." I was like, "What does that mean?" She was like, "5-finger discount." I was like. She was like, y'all ain't got any boosters up by you? And I was like, oh yeah, we got boosters. And I was like, I don't know. I was trying to ingratiate myself with the fucking hillbillies, and I was like, oh, what do you got? That pack of t-shirts. I'll pay $3 for that. So I came home with a giant jug of Dawn dish soap and a pack of Hanes t-shirts for $12. It was not that good of a deal.
You know, it's crazy. Like, I think about like my past, like the whole racism thing.
Sure.
Like we've kind of talked about like how we had like metal and like punk like influences growing up.
Yep.
And it dawned on me like a couple of months ago that I was like, oh, I remember that time. Like, so to kind of set this preference or the kind of set the story. Everyone kind of had a nickname when we were growing up. Like,
sure.
I had a buddy, Matt. We always called him Chuda. Like, we had, like, I don't know. We had, like, friends. Like, we had, like, Mexican Rob.
Yes.
And we had a dude named Crotch because his name was Rob, too.
Yes.
We had, like, 5 mics. So one of the guys' name was Anus. Like, we had nicknames for everyone. Well, one of the dudes was Skinhead Rob.
Sure.
And I just assumed it was because I was like, oh, he's got a shaved head. Not because he was a racist.
Actual skinhead.
I was fucking wrong. So
The name was literal.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit. And like, you know, being like 15 years old, you don't put 2 and 2 together. Sure. I had not seen Romper Stomper.
Yep.
I had not seen American History X.
Sure.
I didn't get that when you wore a bomber jacket and like combat boots, that you meant fucking business. And I always thought it was weird that he always carried a lead pipe in his pocket. And I was just like, what's with the lead pipe? He's like, oh, in case we gotta fuck people up. And I was like, all right. I was like, I roll with some, you know, fucking. He's like, a punker, dude. Yeah. He's a punker. Like, I get it. Like, whatever. So he's like, hey, man. He's like, we're going bowling. We're doing this, so on and so forth. I just realized take the skinhead bowling. Anyway.
That's a jam. I love that song.
So, yeah. So we'd gone bowling, and he's like, yeah, we're going to go hang out at my house. I was like, all right, cool. So I hop in the truck with him and a couple of his buddies, all who are like, one who's like keeping it pretty high and tight. Another one who's a skinhead. And we go over to his house, and he's like, Parker, you want to see something really cool? And I was like, yeah, sure, man, whatever. 15 years old at the time. We go into this dude's basement, and it was straight out of World War II, where I was like, holy shit. There's like huge fucking Nazi flag. He's like, bro, check out this plate. He's like, there's like the SS on the back of it. There's like bayonets and shit like that. This dude collects. I was like, so you're a big World War too fanatic.
You're big
Like,
into collecting.
I was like, do you have anything from Russia, maybe? Like, just trying to, like, give him an out. Like, please, like, I've been hanging out with you for a couple weeks. Please do not be a complete and utter racist. As it's rolling through my head, I'm like, oh, shit. These guys don't realize I'm fucking Mexican.
Okay.
So then it was at that point, I was like, oh, you have nothing from the other side, like U.S., England, or even, like, I was settled for Italy. Like, you got anything from Mussolini? You got anything Japan, maybe? Russia? Nothing. Just all Nazi shit. And then the teetering point was when I was like, oh, you have clan shit, too.
Oh,
I was
damn.
like, we're a little far north for that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, hey, guys, like, I'm going to take off. I got to watch my brother and sister in the morning. Like, it's nice hanging out with you guys. Like, well, yeah, dude, totally. We'll go bowling again soon. I was like, oh, you guys don't have to give me a ride home. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't want you guys to know where the fuck I live. So I called a cab, and it, like, I sweated the 10 minutes waiting. I'm like waiting for him to come outside and be like, Parker, by the way, we saw a picture of your family. What's with the,
Let's be honest.
I was like, fuck, dude. So I get home and I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, I was legit hanging out with fucking, like, legit skinheads.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, and that's like, and for me, it was something that, like, I didn't even realize, like, yeah, I was like, fuck, dude, I completely forgot about that until, like, a couple of months ago. And I was like, god damn, dude.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like casual racism's very weird. I think people are much more nonchalant in racism up here, and like down south, it is in your face, dude. I mean, thankfully I ended up renting a truck. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go kick it out in the country. I want to go to the antique stores and stuff like that. So they gave me a pickup truck and they gave me Texas plates. So I was like, oh, sweet. I got a fucking free pass. And I was like, I could go anywhere. So like, but I was rolling around everywhere out there, just rebel flags flying all over the place. I mean, it's no bullshit, dude. These people, the South is still the South in 100, and all of their inside furniture is in piles outside, which I found very odd as well.
So wait, so let me get this straight. So it's like I was being Midwestern all my life. Like, I've been down to Tennessee.
Yep.
I've been to Nashville and stuff like that. But I've never seen any of that stuff. So like for me, it was like we went to the bars, we hung out in the downtown, and that was about it. But like I never went to like any shitholes and shit. Like that. So like for me, like I guess seeing, like, for example, the rebel flag during the protests and the insurrection on the Capitol, seeing that, like, I was like, holy shit, like, that's not normal. That's not something you typically see. But
it's super normal.
So, okay. For the South, they're like, that was like, oh, they just brought a flag.
I mean, for real, dude, that is incredible. It's, as soon as you get out, it seems like there's no problem with that, which, once again, I mean, I'm sure, like, there's a normalization to things where you make excuses. So where, you know what I'm saying, that I deal with the stuff with family to a certain extent, where it's like, you know, I'm telling my parents, no, that's a racist thing, and my mom's like, oh no, that's not racist. I'm like, yeah, it 100% is. Like, you like the normalization of things starts. It's dicey, man. I don't know. It's a weird world we're living in.
I would say this, that, you know, for, let's say, I don't know how old your parents are. We'll say it's like 60 years. For the last 40 years of that was the normal, and it's not easy for them to adjust.
Sure, of
course.
It's
one of those things that, like, even over our lifetime, you could talk about all the things that have changed. You know, gay marriage is something that's normal now, and it's one of those things that at first you're not sure what to think about these things, and then all of a sudden you're just like, well, you know, you always look back on history and you go, well, the people that fought against certain things usually ended up on the wrong side.
Sure.
So I usually my thought process is give it time and get used to it. And my philosophy is that when it comes to, I'm not saying racism, but I would say, like, anything that's like trans, anything that's like LGBTQ, so on and so forth, it's one of those things I just try and listen and go, okay, like, what am I supposed to learn here?
That's what you're looking for. I mean, I think that's where the problem lies. So, like, you know, everybody's, take BLM for instance, everybody's experience with the police is not the same. And if you have a large majority of the population saying that this is a problem, that we aren't being treated correctly, and you stand back and say, that's not true, I'm treated fine. Well, you're not listening to what that part of the population is saying. You're only going off of your own experience instead of opening yourself up and saying, hey, maybe this is a problem. A lot of people are saying this is a problem. I can watch a video of the police shooting somebody in the back. That's an issue for me. I mean, that's when I think that maybe I should listen. Maybe something is wrong, and there isn't a lot of. My experience is going to be different. It just is.
I think you hit it on the head there. Everyone's perspective is completely different, and I think it's hard for people to see outside the realm.
For sure.
And it's even difficult for me at times. But at the same time, like, I just try and encourage people to just be open. We totally fucking sidetracked into something else.
For sure. Yep.
But
listening.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's
listening at the end of the
all
day
it comes down to. Yes.
Is just listening and having a level of care and respect for the people around you.
Sure.
Much like you care about your furniture that you've been working on.
Yes.
DJ was telling me off air, you were telling me about how you've been collecting antique furniture.
Yep.
And then you've been restoring it and flipping it. So I'm familiar with flipping rental properties.
Sure.
I'm familiar with like flipping cars.
Yeah.
Flipping furniture for me is a new one.
So for me, I grew up. My dad was a record collector growing up. And I grew up in LA, and I was at record shows every weekend when I was a kid. So he always flipped vinyl. We had 50,000 45s in my garage when I was a kid.
Holy shit!
Yep. And it's just always been something that he's done. My parents always owned businesses, and they'd owned video stores when I was growing up. And years ago, I thought I wanted to open up a Nintendo bar. This was probably in about 2000, 2002. And my parents still had all of our old NES games in their basement, all still in the box. So I was like, hey, can I have some of these games or whatever? My dad was like, you take one, you're taking them all. So I started going on eBay, and I was like, well, shit, these things are worth a lot of money. So I started flipping. I got into video games, flipping vintage video games and stuff. At the time, I was working at Rubens Furniture in the Third Ward, and I was really into modern design, mid-century modern design. I had somebody who I used to skateboard with had moved to Chicago, opened up a mid-century furniture store down there, got me into the furniture stuff. So then I started flipping furniture. So super competitive. It's not what it used to be, a little bit easier than what it is now. You have got to be at estate sales at 6 o'clock in the morning. If they open up at 9, you have got to be scouring Craigslist constantly. For me, when I was down in Nashville, I found a couple of pieces that were good, but it's tough, man. It's a competitive business. So I flip all kinds of stuff now. The furniture I flip when I find it. But I've been selling marbles lately.
Hold on, I want to go back to the furniture for 1 second. So, are you doing like 19th century stuff, or is this like Victorian, or is it just like kind of all over the place?
Nope, it's 50s, 60s,
okay,
70s stuff. So
nice, dude.
Yeah. So, you have I look specifically for design pieces. So, like Danish modern stuff is huge. If you watch Mad Men, most of the stuff on there is stuff that I'm looking for. So the construction of Danish furniture is outstanding. High quality, great craftsmanship, cool design, very simple design. It's just made better. And most of it, when people are buying furniture in the 50s and 60s, they tended to take care of it a little better. And it lasted a lifetime, basically. A lot of those people had gone through depression when they were young, and fast furniture wasn't a thing. So it's like the stuff you buy now, IKEA is garbage. But even when I was working at Rubens, it's like a lot of this high end stuff is just like high end IKEA stuff. I mean, it's still just pressboard crap. It's garbage.
Yeah.
So,
I think about how I've trashed my fucking couch over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. So, I mean, it's
So you were saying marbles? So you're flipping marbles
so
now too?
now actual marbles. Yes, I do very well on it. I keep saying it's a dying market because when I started, I fell into it accidentally, but it's like I'm part of some auction groups on Facebook. And if I'm selling these things, I tend to get a message where it's like, "Can I please send you cash or a check?" I'm like, I have Venmo, I have Cash App. You can do any of these, and they're like, "Please, cash, check. I'll send it to you." Like everybody who does it is 90 years old. So, but I don't know. It's a lot of gorgeous girls tend to fall for marble collectors. It's a very strange phenomenon.
So what you're saying is you got into it for the chicks.
Yes, basically.
That's how I started DJing.
Yeah, well, I mean, smart. That seems smarter, if I'm being honest. That seems like a smarter way to go.
For me, I was kind of an awkward kid that just, I had a fascination with music.
Sure.
I was like, for me, I was writing from a young age. Like in middle school, I was writing about like any CD that was coming across the table. So like I was totally constantly had my ear to the radio, like anything that new that would come out. I would be like, oh, I need to grab this. I need to grab this.
Same way. Yeah.
And I constantly was just going through music. And then it was just me writing reviews through middle school and high school. And then I was really blessed in the sense that growing up in Oak Creek, we had a TV production studio inside our high school, which actually my brother is big shout out to Mr. Stock. I had stock when I was in high school. He also had stock when he was in high school. But we were real fortunate to have a TV studio in our school. So my friends and I, like when we would go to these shows when I was a kid, we'd take video cameras with us and we would just we'd have like wireless mics and we just put them in people's faces and be like, hey, I don't know. I remember like one of the interviews that probably sticks out the most was when I got to interview the guys from Garbage. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm 15, 16 years old and I have a huge crush on Shirley Manson. Sure. And so all I wanted to do, I was like, I really want to meet Shirley Manson. And I was like, I did a quick take and I was like, wait, I was like, the members of Garbage are all the guys that own Smart Studios out in Madison. These are the guys that produced the Nevermind album. Okay. That's Butch Vig, who more recently had been working with the Foo Fighters. And I was like, shit. I was like, dude, I'm like, I can actually make a really good interview about this. The problem is that I nerded out so hard that everyone's like, dude, no one cares. Everyone wants to talk about the music, so on and so forth. Sure. I did talk about Garbage, but I got totally caught up with the fact I was like, so you guys recorded the Nevermind album. Tell me about that. Sure. Tell me what it's like working at your studio. And then we ended up getting into a huge conversation. Steve Marker and I did off camera about how this was in the late 90s, how there was a transition between analog to digital. Sure. And one of the programs that was coming out at the time was a program called Acid, which was made by the time Sonic Foundry, which then was bought by Sony, which I actually, to this day, I still fucking use. Sure. And we were talking about how it was going to, he was like, he's like, you take a look at, he had mentioned Pro Tools and he was like, he's like, Pro Tools is basically the same thing, except for the fact that you can use this and so literally paint and play. And I was like, oh shit, go to the website that night and I get a demo version and it was like Acid 1.0 and shit like that. Yeah. And then from there it was like, they had a website, I think it was like acidplanet.com where they had the full stems of like, for example, like they would have a contest. They'd be like, so Madonna would release a new single, or like Gravity Kills would be like, have a remix contest for like one of their singles and shit like that. And I downloaded all these stems and I was like, at some point I could remaster an entire song. And for the early part of like, I don't know, the later years, my teenage years, that's all I did was I'd sit on a computer and just be like, I was like, what does this drum beat sound like with this? And I would just like recreate the song and be like, okay, so here's how the song actually goes. Okay, I'm going to drop this beat out. I'll put a new beat in. I'll, instead of their actual bass line, I'll do this bass line, stuff like that. I can't remember how the hell we got back onto this topic. My apologies. I'll drift all over the fucking place. No,
that's awesome.
But But yeah, that was absolutely crazy for me to be able to like have these interviews. Where was I going with this initially? How do we get into this?
I don't know.
You know what the shitty part is that I'm doing these sober now. So I did this with YB.
I'm not.
I did this with YB and Steve last week, and I was like, shit, I drifted all... Because I'll go back and I'll rewatch these, and I'm like, fuck, I drifted all over the fucking place. And I was... Like, I remember at one point, I looked over at Chris, and I was like, bro, I was like, I had a beer and a half, and I feel fucking hammered.
Yeah.
But I don't...
Yeah, me and Chris went to high school together, and we used to skateboard together back in the day. Shout out, homie. And, I mean, I've known Steve Marks as well as was Lee your first guest?
Yeah, Lee and Cassidy.
Yep.
I think
Leah's
you've
been
known...
one of my dear friends for many, many, many years as well.
See, that was the thing that astounded me is that like when we first started talking, like we started name dropping like homies.
Sure.
You're like, oh, like Lee Gook, and I was like, yeah, I was like, that's my roommate.
Yeah.
We have been around like 1 degree of separation in this city for so long, and it took us till like this year to really get to know each other.
I started working at an awesome new bar. It's a very small bar on 3rd Street called Silk Exotic, and that's where we started hanging. It's been good.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, me and Lee worked together at Sintani and at Soho back in the day.
Dude, Bobby Head, brother.
Jeez.
Dude, I got stories for days about that guy.
Oh, me too. Bob will never, ever check me on a fucking free pour again. He bet me $50 that I couldn't free pour 2 ounces. Obviously, I have that skill set in my repertoire. And he paid me. He's also throwing a shot glass at me, though. Bob's a scary dude.
I love that guy. Yeah. So he was always fascinated with me.
I bet.
And he was always like, because on like before I was 30, I had spiky hair. I had black fingernail polish. I walked around looking like I just got kicked out of a fucking White Snake video.
Tight.
And he would always like fuck with me, and he's like, it's just how Bobby was. And
do a Bobby impression.
I suck at it. He's like, so let me get this fucking here. Let me give this a second. Let me get this fucking straight. And I'm like, and so I'd be like, how'd this come about? Where it was like he was fucking with me one day, and I just had enough of it, and I was like I said something to him, and he goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah, dude." I'm like, "I'll kick your head into the next fucking room." And he's like, and he had asked like one of my bosses, he's like, well, what's up with Parker? And they're like, don't fuck with him. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean don't fuck with him? And they're like, he'll beat the shit out of you. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, dude, he's like boxer, kickboxer, like he fucking wrestles, all this other shit. And he's like, but he walks around fucking fingernail polish. Like he's not like, because he thought I was gay. Sure. And I was like, no, I'm not fucking gay. I'm like, I just do it I'm like, I paint my nails just because I don't have a good reason behind it. I just do it because whatever.
My dad still thinks I'm gay, just for the record.
So, and he's like, so wait, he's like, you can kick the shit out of people? And he's like, you just walk around like this? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, that's kind of, I don't know. I'm like, that's my thing.
Sure.
And he was just fascinated by it. He's like, so what else do you do? I was like, I don't know, dude. So he started asking me all these questions, and he actually got to know me. And he goes, wait. He goes, so you listen to punk when you're in high school? He's like, what are your favorite bands? I was like, fucking Sex Pistols, The Living End. I was like, I love the fucking Clash. I was like, I used to steal the fucking record from my parents all the time. I was like, I'd listen to this. He's like, Sex Pistols were like in fucking sync. He's like, but I'll let it go. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, and he's such a posh dude.
Yes.
And it was just one of those things that like I never expected that from him. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, he'd open. We were sitting in his office one day, and he opens up his desk. And he's like, he pulls out a photo of him when he was like in high school, and
Liberty
it's like
spikes.
full on fucking Liberty spikes. And he has like black paint going across his eyes. I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, that's the same fucking kid I'm looking. And it's him, suit, like slicked over side hair, sipping on a scotch, getting pissed about like he's got to make like 10 points in the fucking Jets game or whatever.
That sounds about right.
And he was a fucking degenerate gambler. I fucking loved him for it. Right. I will say this though. My favorite story was we're hanging out with Charlie Murphy. We had taken Charlie Murphy was at Joker's Comedy Club.
The Charlie Murphy.
The fucking Charlie Murphy. He was at Joker's Comedy Club, and we had taken him out afterwards. We're like, yeah, come out and drink with us, whatever. And he's like, all right, cool. And he was like, hey man, you got some weed? And I was like, I don't really smoke weed. I'm like, I drink more than anything. He's like, so you can find me some weed. So I hit up Bobby. I was like, Bobby's always got he's got a drawer full of drugs. So I was like, Bobby, you got some weed? He's like, yeah, I got some fucking weed. He's like, he's like, you smoking weed now? I was like, no. I'm like, Charlie Murphy wants to smoke weed. And he was like, wait, like the fucking guy from the Chappelle show? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, we're bringing him by. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, you gotta come down. He's like, I'm smoking weed with him. You gotta smoke weed with me too. And I was like, all right, whatever. So we go into the basement of Shintani's and we're down there and we're fucking passing a bowl around. And at one point, Charlie is so fucking stoned, he starts telling the story that's going absolutely fucking nowhere. And he's just bull guarding the fucking bull. And like Bobby just finally looks up. He's like, yo, man. He's like, I want to hear your fucking story. He's like, pass that fucking bull. I was like, Jesus Christ. It was like one of those where I was like, holy fuck. I was like, leave it up to Bobby to just be that fucking guy who goes, hey, pass the fucking bull. I want to hear your fucking life story.
Solid.
Cigarette hanging out. Like, I want to hear your fucking life story. Pass the fucking bull, asshole.
That sounds about right. Yeah, Bob was a nut, dude. Good
I
people.
fucking love that guy.
The very first shift I worked at Soho 7. Very first shift. 3 o'clock in the morning hits. Everything. We're cleaning up the bar, and I forget who my manager's name was at that point. I'm sure Lee remembers, but we're taking out the trash, and he has a gun tucked into the back of his waistband, and this is the 3rd ward, mind you, and he's peeking out the door to make sure nobody's out there to rob us. He's peeking out the door to make sure that nobody's going to rob us. I'm like, man, we're in the 3rd ward. I'm pretty sure we're fucking safe, dude. Hand on the gun, peeking out the door. It was a weird intro to that job. So good times.
Yeah, he had a ton of great ideas. I remember it was me, Lee, and Danny Benevente, and we were doing Thursday nights. I was DJing. Danny and Lee were bartending.
Soho?
Yeah, at Soho.
Oh,
and he was
Chris was DJing there too.
Yeah, so yeah. It was Chris, Dion.
Yep, that's right. Dion was there. Yep.
And I know there was other guys there, but those are the only 2 that really stick out.
Yep.
I think there were other DJs there. I just didn't know them that well.
Kid Cut Up, I think, was.
Oh yeah, Cut Up was there too.
Yep.
But he had such great ideas. Like I remember he's like, hey, what do you think of that Slumdog Millionaire movie? I was like, I don't know. I'm like, it's like there's dancing. I'm like, it's not really my bag. He's like, I'm gonna call you guys the Slumdog Thousandaires. He's like, you got like $1,000 in your account, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, you want to loan me some money? I was like, what the fuck?
Oh god.
He's like, you're like a thousandaire, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, we're gonna call you guys. Instead of Slumdog, it was a Slumdog Thousandaire Thursdays.
Tight. Do you remember that Brad dude? The Brad guy who was a partial owner there. He has to come into Taylor's.
Wasn't he a cop?
I don't know if he is or not.
He was the shorty guy with the dark hair,
older, like purple glasses. Sometimes I don't know.
See, I thought he had like a partner that was like a cop for a little bit.
Okay, maybe.
Oh, wait, no. Bob?
I thought his name was Brad.
I thought there was a lawyer that was across the street.
I think that's Brad.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he had passed away.
That's not Brad then, because Brad was in Silk last night.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm seeing a ghost, which is a possibility.
So there was a lawyer friend, and I'm gonna have to go back and ask Lee about this. So there was a lawyer that was a partner at Shintani and over at Soho, and his office was literally across the street.
Okay.
But he had passed away from cancer like in 2010 or something like that. I want to say his name was Perry.
Okay.
Maybe. You're going to have to ask Lee about that.
Yeah. I mean, Joey and Bobby are the only ones I knew from Shintani, so.
But Shintani back in the day was crazy. Lee met.
It was like a Cialis commercial every weekend. It was just like 55-year-olds really going to town.
Joe Height.
Getting ready to get busy.
My favorite was I walked in there one day and Joe Height was doing a piano cover of Snoop Dogg's like Gin and Juice or something like that. And I was like, is this Snoop? I was like, dude, Joe Height. Yeah. Shout out to Joe Height, man.
He's cool, man. Yeah. Joe's good.
He was in the Boogeyman. He was, dude. He had his hand in everything. Yeah, he was doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he still plays out, right?
Yeah. Well, obviously with COVID and stuff like that,
he'd gotten into an accident too.
Yeah, I thought he had moved too. Like he'd moved down. I might be thinking of Chris Crow. I think Chris is down in Kansas City now. I thought Joe had left too, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen him in I think I've ran into him a couple of times,
Sure.
like on Jefferson.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him in a long fucking time.
Good people.
Nah, great fucking people.
Yeah, it was an awesome job. So
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Lee met CC DeVille from, is it Poison?
I met CC DeVille from Poison at
might have been
Ron Jeremy's house.
Shut the fuck
At
up.
12 years old. Yes, I did.
fucking hate
yeah,
Ron
yeah.
Jeremy. Okay.
Oh,
you
I
tell-
do too. Yeah, he's an absolute
You tell your Ron story. I'll tell my Ron story.
So I grew up in the Valley, basically in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend's aunt, huge groupie. She dated Slash for a while. She knew Billy Idol super well. They were raising Arabian horses up in like the bridle path of the valley, basically. But
so like your family's like rich.
no.
Oh, okay.
They weren't my neighbors, but
okay.
Yeah, but and even them, I mean, they weren't. Their grandparents had been in California before you were rich.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they'd been there.
So they had like 100 acres.
Yeah. They'd been up there for a long time. But so as a 12-year-old, she was like, "Oh, we could go meet Poison. Sounds awesome. I would love to meet Poison at 12 years old." We go to a house. Turns out it was Ron Jeremy's house. Dildos laying all over the fucking place. CC DeVille rolls in, meets CC DeVille. Hilarious story. My parents don't find it quite so funny. About 3 years ago, I got back into contact with my friends from out there, and I was like, "Oh, you remember that time? We went to Ron Jeremy's to meet CC DeVille," and my buddy said to me, "Yeah, Ron Jeremy took me to Disneyland." I was like, "God damn, dude!" I mean, no bullshit. The LA in the '80s was still pretty fucking small. I mean, if you are tapped into that fucking scene, I feel like it's probably pretty easy to be in that. Ron Jeremy came to Lakefront Brewery in probably about 2001 to host a hip hop show. And I had all my friends were with me. I had approached him. I was like, "Hey, do you know this woman, Mimi Keegan?" He was like, "Of course I know Mimi." And I was like, I was at your house when I was 12. all of my friends are like, "Holy fucking shit, dude!" I was there. I don't know.
I thought I had a buddy, I think Matthias. Do you know Matthias?
Yeah, of course. He worked
I
at
was going to say, I'm like, I think he has a Ron Jeremy tattoo.
for real.
Or
Gross.
like he has like Ron Jeremy's autograph tattooed on him.
Ron Jeremy is a disgusting human being.
So here's the thing. Being younger, I was like, "Oh, Ron Jeremy, porn star, blah,
Sure.
blah, blah." One of the first assignments I got when I was working at Silk was they go, "Hey, you're going to bodyguard Ron Jeremy." And I was like, "Does Ron Jeremy need a bodyguard?" I was like, "All right, well, whatever."
Yeah.
They had given me weird assignments. Like I was bodyguarding like comedians. Like one of my favorite guys was Artie Fletcher. I'll get to him in a minute. But Ron was a dick. Like Ron was very, like he was doing his autograph session and like pictures and shit like that. And it was like Polaroid, like take the Polaroid, he pulls it out, he signs it, gives it to you, so on and so forth. And I think it was like $20 or something like that. And he was like, "Okay, man." He's like, "You're gonna take the photos, blah blah blah. I'm gonna sign them, whatever." He's like, "And I'll handle everything." And I was like, "All right, cool." And it was one of those that like, how do I put this? It was one of those where like he would just snatch it and he'd be like, "All right, next."
Yeah, she was just.
And it was just like, it was kind of, I don't know how to put it. It just it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it got to the point where I was like, I'd said something to Ferraro and I was like, "Dude," I was like, "This guy's kind of a dick." I'm like, I don't really want to work with him. I was like, "Dude, you just got to put up with him for the night." He's like, "Just, don't kick the shit out of him or anything." He's like, "Just put up with his shit." So like I had like my smirking revenge. Like I didn't know he was narcoleptic. Like he would just randomly just pass out.
Damn.
So he passed out in Ferraro's office, and it's like me and Scott. And I recently put this on like Instagram, where like I wrote a sign where he had passed out with like his mouth open. And I wrote a sign that said "Insert cock here." And took a photo.
No, you did not.
Yeah,
dude.
and then like
you have the picture.
I have the photo. Like it came up recently.
No fucking way.
I'll show it to you after when we're off air.
Yes.
So that was like my smirking revenge, and everyone in the room is fucking like trying not to laugh loud to wake him up. And as like I'm pulling the sign away, he like wakes up and is like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I have narcolepsy." He's like, "I pass out randomly. What's going on?" And like we're all dying laughing. He's like, "What did I miss?" We're like, "Nothing, man. We're just watching video on Ferraro's computer. We were all just fucking laughing about it. I'm like, I gotta run back upstairs. But yeah, and it was just one of those things that like every year I had to deal with him. So the next year he would come back, and I remember we had a great DJ, this guy named DJ Schnacky. You never had the chance to meet him. He had passed away a bunch of years ago. And this dude was a lightning bolt. This guy would come out on stage. He would just make shit up on the go, and he would have an entire room just fucking cackling. So Ron Jeremy at the time was trying to do like stand-up comedy, like to kind of add on to like his repertoire of shit that he did. And he's backstage and he's panicking. He's like, he's getting too many laughs. I go, what are you talking? I'm like, you're Ron fucking Jeremy, dude. I was like, just go out there and just do your fucking act, dude. I'm like, you're doing 10 minutes. I was like, you're not doing a fucking Comedy Central half-hour thing. And he's in a fucking complete panic mode. And then I realized why he was fucking panicking. His comedy was fucking garbage. Dude, his main joke was, hey, you guys want to see my cock?
Oh, God.
And he reaches into his pants and he pulls out a rubber chicken. And I was like, And I think I was the only person that laughed.
Oh, that's
and terrible. It was awkward. It was one of those that you ever get like goosebumps before like you're just so awkward because you know you're like it's like you're at a train wreck. That's what it was like being backstage listening to him do his horrible fucking comedy
I've done
show.
Stand up many times. That's what it was every single time I did stand up.
It was one of those where you're just like,
yeah, not good.
Poor fucker. Like it was horrible, and like people were like yelling stuff on stage at him and stuff like that. But you know, he comes back around and he just does the autograph session. That's kind of what everyone was there for, is they wanted to get a picture and an autograph from Ron Jeremy. I have one of the first times I met Ron, he was in this movie called Boondock Saints. I have a Boondock Saints. I'll show you afterwards. I have a Boondock Saints painting up in my room. And my buddy Nick, Vegas Nick, and Big Smooth, that was when we were all roommates. We would always watch this movie and we'd always quote it. And we'd always do the rule of thumb fucking joke from the beginning, so on and so forth. And it was something that we'd just drunkenly watched all the fucking time. And so when Ron Jeremy came in, I was like, Ron, do me a favor, sign my DVD. So I have an autographed copy of like Boondock Saints from Ron Jeremy up there. But yeah, and then it just that's the highlight of me meeting him. And it just goes fucking downhill from there.
Yeah, he's awful.
Yeah.
And currently in jail.
Currently in jail
for
facing
rape.
Dude, I can tell this fucking story. He hooked up with the nastiest bitch I'd ever seen in my fucking life.
Gross.
So
I could tell this story.
God damn. All right, shout out to Laura Hoffman. This was your fucking idea about me doing a podcast and sharing these stories. So obviously he was at Silk. So I don't know how the fuck this girl even got hired. This girl used to be a bodybuilder, but she looked like she was pushing 50, but hadn't lifted in the last decade. So like everything was kind of like, she had like fake boobs, but everything was just kind of like real saggy. And like she kind of had like a deeper voice. And I was just like, I'm like, who the fuck pays you to be like, and like we had the joke where it was like they paid her to go away. Like she'd come up and be like, do you want to dance?
Oh God.
And someone would be like, here's a 20, get the fuck away from me. Or do me a favor, go force my friend, like grab him by the ankles and, you know, with your bodybuilder might drag him in there and make him take a dance from you.
Yes,
like that might have been the reason that she was there. He hooked up with her after one of the nights he was there. And he was like, hey man, he's like, I need you to take us over to the hotel. And I was like, it's
gross.
Across the fucking street, bro. And now here's the thing.
That's where he stayed?
You stayed across the street from the place on Silver Spring.
Silver Spring.
Yeah.
Right.
Not the like the motel one, like Quinta.
Yeah.
But the other one. Like
okay.
I think it was like it wasn't a Holiday Inn, but it's at least like I've been in there a few times. It's not that bad.
Okay.
We'll get to those stories later.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, man. He's like, I need you to take us over there. He's like, I need you to see that we're going over there. And I go, huh? I was like, all right, whatever, dude. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm leaving anyway. Yeah. So I was like, hey, fucking he-woman, whatever the fuck you are, get in the fucking car. Fucking Ron jumps in. I literally drive him across the street. He's like, walk in with me. And I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, dude, I was like, if this turns into some weird kinky shit, I'm like, I'm smacking the fuck out of both these people and I'm getting the fuck out. Yeah. So we get to the elevator and he's like, all right, dude. He's like, I'll call you in a little bit, whatever. And I was like, what the I'm like, no, I'm done for the night, dude. I'm like, call me tomorrow, man. Because I think he had to be there all weekend. So the next day, I was just like, it's like, so how was last night? Yeah. He's like, oh, it was great. She was very nice. And he talks really weird where he's like, he kind of talk like he talks long. That's the best way I can describe it. Yeah. And he's kind of nasally. And he's like, you know, you told me you were a DJ and you kind of travel around. He's like, a good note to have. He goes, I walked her out. And I go, I don't fucking care, dude. He goes, no. You got to learn this. You walk them out. You make sure that there's a camera that sees you when you walk out. He goes, you give him a hug, give him a kiss on the cheek. He goes, so that way, if anything ever comes back on you, he goes, you can point back at the video.
Weird.
And I was like, thanks, you fucking creep. And I was like, all right, whatever. Now, mind you, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm not a rapist. I don't sexually assault people. So I didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, this fucking story comes out. And I send it to one of my friends that I'd worked with. Shout out to Jade Simone St. Clair. And I was like, dude, I sent the article as soon as I saw it. And I was like, do you believe this shit? And I'm like, do you believe the fucking stories this guy used to fucking tell me? Like the life advice this fucking dirtbag would give me?
How weird.
And I was just like, ah! Like, not even the
you
fact
felt raped a little
like,
bit. You felt like you got life raped.
My butthole clenched a lot when everything just kind of like, oh, like, you know, just all came together at one moment. Just like, you fucking nasty fuck. Oh, but I mean, there's been smirking revenge with him. Like Lee and Cassie had brought it up that we were in Vegas at one point. I think it was Cassie and I don't know if Lee was with us, but we were at some strip club. There was something that I was hosting with Jade, and Ron was outside, and like he had recognized Cassidy, and he was like, "Hey, can you get us in?" And he was wearing like Crocs, like sweatpants, and like he looked like he hadn't showered in like 3 days. And Cassie's like, I don't know him. He's like, I don't know that motherfucker. He's like, he came back in and told me what was going on. I was like, Ron's out there? I was like, fucking get him in, whatever. Like, it's, you know, I kind of know him. He's a fucking creep, but he's like, no, dude, he looks like he rolled out of a dumpster. And I was
gross.
I was like, when you're that guy and you fucking just don't give a fuck that much, like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, when they raided his house, like his fucking house is just disgusting, dude. Pill bottles all over the place, all kinds of shit.
There was a point that I remember, like I was eating after hours, and like I had made like a burger and fries and stuff like that, and he comes over and he like grabs one of my French fries, and I like saw the shit that was under his nails, and it was like before they said just throw the whole thing away, I was like, well, you can just take that, bro. You can just have the whole fucking thing.
Disgusting.
And I was like, it's cool. I'll make something when I get home. I hadn't eaten all day because I had to put up with your fucking jabroni ass all fucking day.
Yeah, he's a vile human being.
Fuck, you know, and I don't feel bad for him at all.
No, me neither.
Everything that I read, it was like a couple of assaults, and there was like another one where it was like numerous assault after assault.
Well, he got kicked out of the AVNs, I think, years ago before being arrested. That he wasn't even allowed up there anymore.
This is my surprise face.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not. That was a well-known thing that Ron Jeremy's just. He seems like a fucking creep. So.
Dude, all right, number one, shout out to Cassidy. We went to the AVN a couple of times, and one of the times we were just there, we're like up in the stands, just kind of hanging out. We had a couple of friends that were nominated, that we were partying with.
For what?
I think. Fuck, I can't remember what her porn name is. I remember her real name.
Say it. Let's
no, I don't want to. I don't want to put because
shop local with your porn. By the way, if you know them, make sure you're paying them.
Yes. I want to say her name. I want to say her porn name is Nikki Rhodes. She was up for like best BJ scene, and then like our friend Zoe was up for like a girl on girls scene, and we were hanging out with them the whole weekend. And we were up in the stands, and like. We're like, all right, cool. Like, we've never actually just watched the award shows. We're like, all right, let's fucking hang out. We'll watch the show. And they do like best what was it, best anal or best name for like an anal DVD or something like that, and it was Strolling in the Colon.
Oh, that's solid.
Dude,
That's very. I would love that job.
oh wait, Strolling in the Colon 2.
Obviously,
Cassie and I
The Deuce.
we were just howling. Just
That's
we're like,
amazing.
like Strolling in the Colon.
Yeah.
Fucking and that was like our quote for the entire week. I was just like, fucking strolling. What are you guys doing?
I
We're
would
strolling
love
in the
that
Colon.
job. Yeah, I would love that job. Whoever has that.
We had walked out, and it was one of those, like, he was wearing like a Hustler t-shirt, and like someone was up, hey, I work for Hustler, that's a great t-shirt. And he was like, I love your shit since the 90s, bro. We had ran into to Evan Snow. Do you know who that is?
No.
Evan Snow is this dude. He's built like a fucking bodybuilder. He's like the porn version of Fabio at the time. Long blonde hair, dresses in trench coats, but it's like almost looks like almost like he looked like he fell out of a vampire movie.
Sure, of course.
From the 90s or something like that. But it was one of those that like he was in every fucking porn at the time. And like Cassie literally turns around and is like, bro, it's like this fucking Evan Snow over there. I was like, oh, let's go say what's up. We're smoking cigars. We're like, hey, can we get a photo with you, dude?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, of course. Throws his arms around us. I think I still have that photo upstairs. I got to pull that one out for you afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, we had a blast. And then like we ended up meeting, we were at some hotel at like the Circle Bar. And at the time, Zoe and I were like listening to a ton of My Chemical Romance at the time. And I go, Zoe. I was like, that's Gerard Way. And she goes, who? I go, the dude from My Chem. And she's like, holy shit. So like we totally like fanboyed him. I was like, hey dude, I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there. She's a fucking porn star.
She'll do weird stuff. Awesome.
But yeah, dude, I've met like a ton, dude, I remember I met, actually, Zoe was part of this one too. I had met Stormy Daniels years before the
Trump shit.
She was dating the drummer from Hollywood Undead. I was out there, I was DJing for something. I think it was like E3 or something like that. And they assign you like a concierge at the hotel. And they were like, oh, I remember what this was. Okay, this was a fun weekend. So they assign you like a concierge. And they're like, hey, like if you need anything, just here's my cell phone number. Give me a call. Anything you need, whatever hour of the day is, let me know. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I don't know. Like I usually just sit in my room and like I kind of nerd out and like play with music and shit like that, and I kind of do an outline in my head of like what I want to do for the night as far as playing. And with Zoe being there, she's like, well, let's go fucking party. And I was like, I'm here on work, I really don't party. But I was like, fuck it, I'm like, let's see what's going on in the city. Cassie had lived around the guys from Hollywood Undead, so like before those guys had come out, he was like, dude, he's like, you gotta check this out, these guys are awesome, they're LA dudes. I was like, dude, the album's fucking phenomenal. Like I had remixed one of their tracks, and I was like, cool. I was like, hey, they're playing in Vegas. I was like, can you contact those dudes and see if like we can get tickets? And he couldn't get through to him. And I was like, well, it's at the Hard Rock. I was like, maybe I can just buy tickets. So I called the concierge dude. I was like, hey, I was like, can you get tickets to this show for me and my friend, or like put us on the guest list or whatever? He's like, yeah, let me get on it. Let me see what I can do for you. So he calls me back like an hour later, and he's like, hey man, he's like, I can't. He's like, this show's like, they oversold the venue. He's like, I can't get you tickets. He's like, I'm really sorry about this. He's like, usually I can get you tickets to anything, but he's like, they oversold the venue. I'm not able to get this for you. I was like, oh, you know what? No worries. I was like, you know what? I think my friend Zoe and I, we're just going to grab dinner somewhere. We'll go hang out. And she's trolling through Twitter, and she's like, holy shit. She's like, Stormy's in town. And I just see her like, see smoke coming off her fucking thumbs, like while she's just texting and stuff like that. She's like, we're on the guest list. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, Stormy's dating the drummer. And I was like, oh shit, all right, cool, excuse me. So we end up going to this show, and it's one of those that like we're hanging out on the side of the stage. I was like, and the fucking Hard Rock is fucking amazing. And they're like, hey man, like they're like, come on in, so on and so forth, get to meet the band beforehand. I was like, hey, I'm like, you guys know Cassidy, whatever. They're like, oh yeah, Cassidy, blah blah blah. They got like a tapper of Miller Lite. I was like, oh, is this community beer? And they're like, they're shotgunning like sparks before they go out on stage and shit like that. And then like afterwards, we all like hung out afterwards. So it was Stormy, the drummer, me, Zoe, and like we had gone out. And then I had other friends that were in town. And they're like, hey, we're over at this club. Like, come hang out with us. And I was like, well, I'm kind of hanging out with some friends already.
Sure.
I was like, Zoe, what do you want to do? She's like, well, I'm going to hang out with Stormy. Like, I haven't seen her all night or seen her in a while. I was like, you know what? I was like, that's totally cool. I'm like, you want to just meet back at the hotel? We'll grab breakfast later. And she's like, yeah, cool. She ends up getting lights out with Stormy and the drummer. I end up getting lights out with my friend. Oh, yeah, I can tell this story. I'm not dating the girl that I was dating at the time.
Excellent.
So, I ended up meeting a girl. I think we were at Pure. I ended up meeting a girl. It was like her birthday, and we go back to my hotel. And I'd given Zoe like a key to the hotel, and I was like, hey, yeah, we're gonna hang out, blah blah blah. I was like, I'm totally like, I didn't really think about the fact that I had Zoe there.
Yeah.
So like, I go to open the door, and like the lock is on it, so it's like not the deadbolt,
Sure.
but it's like the door stopper. And I'm like, oh shit. I was like, God damn it. I was like, Zoe. And I'm like, I'm calling the hotel room, calling her cell phone. She's out fucking cold. This girl ends up passing out, like on the floor.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, fuck. So I ended up having to call the hotel. And I'm like, hey guys, I was like, this is DJ Zerocool, like, Parker, whatever. I was like, I'm locked out of my hotel room. And they're like, oh, is your key not working? Come down, we'll give you a new key. I was like, no. I was like, I have a porn star passed out in my fucking bed in my suite. I was like, she like put the lock on the door, and I'm like, I can't get in. And they're like, oh, we'll send someone up. And they were so casual about it. I was like, how often does this fucking happen?
No shit. No.
So the guy comes up, he unlatches the thing, and I was like, oh, this fucking poor girl. Like, I picked her up and I just threw her on the couch and threw a blanket on her,
dude. Yeah.
And like, I go into one of the bedrooms. I was like, Zoe. And she's like, huh? What's going on? I was like, thanks for answering the door. She's like, what? I was like, you locked me out of my own fucking hotel room.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I got so drunk. I was like, I'm going to bed. I'll talk to you later. Girl wakes up. I think she had no idea where the fuck she was, and literally just fucked off before me and Michelle, like, oops. Sorry, before Zoe and I got up. And so we get up, and I explained to her, I was like, I was totally going to hook up with this girl that I met at a club, so on and so forth.
You ruined it.
This chick fucking passes out after like waiting for like 45 minutes for like maintenance to show up and let me in.
That sounds awful.
It was fucking horrible.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
So this is also from that weekend too. So at the time, I'd been working with Jade Simone St. Clair from Playboy TV, and we'd been doing events all over Vegas and shit like that. And we ended up, she ended up having me do this private party up in a penthouse, and it's like this amazing 3-bedroom. Like, this place is like pretty big. It was double the size of this place, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, I rented turntables, I rented speakers, like for like $200. Like, a dude showed up, dropped them off at the hotel, and like, I could see people giving me weird looks, like, as I'm going through the hotel with a bunch of powered speakers and turntables. And like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell's going on here? So we go up, we set everything up in the hotel. And they're like, hey, we need a bartender and we need security. I was like, oh, I'm like, my 2 old roommates live out here. I'm like, I'll call them up. My buddy Nick, who was like a bar manager, I think at One Oak at the time. Okay. I was like, hey, dude, I'm like, I need you to bartend. He comes out, he's slinging drinks. My buddy Big Smooth, I think he was there too. Don't quote me on that. I think we had him like making sure like everyone that was coming in was like with the party and shit like that. What ends up happening though is, so Zoe's there with me. I'm set up in the living room. Everyone's jamming out. I'm playing some like old school records. We're having fun. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone like darts the fuck out of the living room. And I'm like, Zoe, did you fucking fart? Like, what the fuck's going on, bro? And I was like, and she's like, everyone's over in the like the other like dining room or whatever. I was like, go see what the fuck's going on. And she like comes back and she's like tiptoeing. She's like, oh my fucking god. She's like, Cher's at this fucking party.
Cher was there? Yeah. Holy Christ.
Now, mind you, I'm on the turntables. Yeah. I'm like, I can't really fucking leave what I'm doing.
You just went to all Cher tracks the whole
no,
time.
I didn't. I was like, I don't want to be that fucking dude.
Cool, you son of a bitch.
But besides that, like, I got like Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, and like fucking Believe. Like, I think those were the only Cher tracks I had on my computer at the time.
Do you believe in Love After Life?
Which I think like that was like the beginning of all that pop auto tune was like
Turn Back Time. It's played at my funeral,
dude. That fucking outfit and that fucking dude, it's just like
so good, amazing.
Like, it's like a piece of cloth.
Cher, if Cher's still single, I'll be single for you. I'm married, but other than that, I would be single for Cher's very old robotic butt.
Dude, she like. Have you seen her?
She's
recently?
90.
She's 90 and still looks like she's 30.
Yeah, because she's not real. She's not actual organic material.
They're gonna have to do something with her when she fucking
Yes,
dies
they are.
finally. If she fucking dies,
She will
man.
just go right back to the wax museum. She's already wax.
Oh,
She's
what else
a-
were- oh, go ahead.
Oh, she's an amazing woman.
Yeah,
Whatever.
But
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to meet her. The older Enrique Iglesias crashed that party too,
Wow.
and I was just like, I guess they were staying on the same floor and didn't know what all the noise was, and they just walked in, and whoever was at
They wanted to complain about the racket.
and they just walked in, and they were like, and everyone was just like, it's Enrique Iglesias, it's fucking Cher, and then they
I
eventually-
have a hard time believing that Cher just she's making noise complaints in person.
just rolled in, and I was like,
I feel like she's like.
so
she's
think
just
about it
like
like
in a
this:
party.
you're working the door,
I'm Cher.
and you're just like, what the fuck's going on?
Yes.
And she walks in, it's just like, who's stopping her? She's not on the list. She just shows up. It's fucking Cher.
I would card her. It just says fucking 1846 birthday.
Do you think her ID just
She's
says?
200 years old.
Do you think her ID just says Cher?
Yes. Yeah. What else would it say? Does she have an ID even?
Does she have a real name? Are you even real?
I think
She's looked the same since the fucking
she
70s.
has to have a private plane. I would imagine she travels private plane.
Yeah, she's not. She's
She
not
is
traveling
very.
commercial.
No.
There's no fucking way.
No. You know what she's not doing is skiing, I bet.
Oof!
Sorry.
Oof! Right to the liver.
Sorry.
No,
That was a terrible-
don't apologize to me. I didn't fucking know him.
Apologize to Sonny Bono.
Sonny, wherever you're at,
Yeah. Shut up.
we're
Sorry.
gonna pour a little off for you, brother, right into the carpet.
don't-
Ozzy, clean this up.
That was so good. That was cutting. All right. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like she would have to have a private plane. She doesn't need an ID.
There's no fucking There's no fucking way she travels
She's
commercial.
transcended.
Dude, you know what? She doesn't even fly.
She has one single name. She
appears.
I bet you that's true because she's probably been dead for a long time. It's just a hologram. More than likely. She is the Tupac hologram, except for in Cher. But
Let me ask you this: what was your crazy? Like, you've obviously had an extensive career in the service industry. What is your craziest moment in the industry
ugh.
outside of working with my ass?
I mean,
I know it's hard to top Bobby Head.
yes, that's true. I mean, I have seen a lot of really insane things. I was at an after-hour party at Treats. Do you know where Treats is?
Yeah.
Back in the day on Halloween, where a fight broke out and people were just being fucking tased, people hiding in the bathroom. The owner of Treats ended up being a transgendered gentleman, but he was like, before that, he was just fucking ripped, tattooed guy that was always strolling around with two pit bulls. I mean, that was probably some of the weirder things that I've seen.
I think I remember that now.
Yes.
So he transitioned, or
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yes.
know what the
He
exact term is.
transitioned.
Is
Yeah.
it? Do you refer in past tense? See, this is the thing. I don't know all the rules
Oh yeah,
for that.
yeah, whatever.
So hey, if you're listening and you're a part of that community, my bad. Send me an email.
Yes, and I'm excited. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't care.
No, I don't know what the verbiage is.
Me
'cause
neither.
There's
Yes.
like dead naming.
Yes.
Like if someone transitions from one thing to another, you can never bring that name up again, and so on and so forth. I don't know all these rules. I just try and be as polite as
I'm
possible.
cool with whatever you guys want to do.
whatever you want to do.
Yes,
Whatever makes
it's
you
your
fucking
own
happy.
business. I don't care.
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting anyone, I don't give a
Yes.
fuck, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't hurt people.
Be happy.
Yes.
What the fuck was I going to say about treats now? There was something I was going to say about that. I remember the dude with the fucking pit bull because there were stories about him like back in the
Oh
90s.
yeah. I mean, that's probably some of the weirder things. I don't know. I've been in the bar business here for a long time. I mean, Milwaukee is a wonderful, wonderful place. The service industry here is fantastic. I think that people here are incredibly supportive. Things are about to change. I think you are going to have a lot more people that have actually been in the service industry that own bars now. Whereas before, I think it was people who were just getting into it for the money. I think you're going to have a lot more people that are experienced that are going to start owning bars here.
Did you get a chance to go to, I think it's Mojo, MKE?
No.
Todd, Dano, Dano's fiance from not Rascals, former Mel's on Water, Scooters, and okay, so those guys, shout out to them. They had their opening over the weekend. I saw Ashley had posted something about it, and they had bought Rogue's Gallery.
Oh, cool.
And it was basically the bar staff that had been over at Scooters for
chipped in and bought it.
Yeah, they
that's
bought
awesome.
it. So it's Todd, it's Dano, Dano's fiance, whose name escapes me right now, but shout out to them. They opened up over the weekend. If you get a chance, go over there and check it out. I remember what I was gonna say. You were talking about people hiding and tasing and shit like that. So one of the weirdest ones for me was, this was actually with Matthias too. This was 10 years ago, and I think the anniversary of this was a week or two ago. This is why it's in my head. So Distill at the time was one of the craft cocktail places to work at, and Matthias started working there. And it was one of those that like they would be slow sometimes, so they would close early and they would go out and they would be like, I think he came to see Lee and I over at Soho, and he was like, hey, let's go back to Distill. We'll after bar there and hang out. It's me, Sherm. Oh, I got a burp again. Me, Sherm, Henry Buttersauce Higgins.
Yep.
And a couple other people, and we are drinking. Or no, when we roll in, it's like there's loud music going on, and we're like, Matthias is like, dude, I locked the fucking door. Like, what the fuck's going on? The owner, who I think is Mike from Mikey's, is there, and he's partying his fucking ass off. And he's there with like a bunch of girls and shit like that. Bitches are dancing on the fucking bar. And I'm like, did we walk into the Kennedy compound? What the fuck is going on? And Matthias is like, bro, like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we're having a couple of drinks. I was like, fuck it. Make me some fucking drinks. Now, mind you, it's right at bar time. It's 2 a.m. We're partying until about 3 in the morning. Music fucking blaring. And all of a sudden, like, I think the cops either walked in or the cops were pounding on the fucking door.
Sure.
And everyone fucking scatters. Now, I kind of know, because, like, Matthias had given me a tour of the place earlier. And or at one point, had given me a tour of the place. And so, like, I kind of knew the layout of the place. So when the cops showed up, I was like, fuck this. I grabbed 2 drinks, and I went and hid in the soda room.
Oh, tight.
So I'm in there, and I knew that like you could lock the door from the inside, but you couldn't open it without a key.
Yeah.
So I'm in there. I got like 2 Stoli and fucking sodas just hanging out. And the cops are going from room to room to room to room. And I'm texting Matthias like, dude, what the fuck's going on? He's like, if you're hiding, he's like, just stay where the fuck you're at. I was like, all right, cool. I got 2 drinks. I was going to send him photos. So I was like, I don't want to use the flash. So I'm hiding in the soda room.
In the dark.
In the dark. I'm hiding in the soda room for a fucking hour. And I'm like, fuck. At some point, I was like, I got to break the fucking seal, bro.
Yeah.
But thankfully, there was like a rack of highball glasses that were in there. I filled like 2 of them up.
Oh, my God. Sweet.
So at some point, like, I can hear that the cops have taken off. They gave Mike a ticket for after hours and shit like that. And Matthias is like, all right, dude, you can come out now. So like I walk out, I dump the fucking pee into the sink. And I come back out. I got a drink with me still. And I was like, are the cops fucking gone? Everyone's like, dude, where the fuck did you come from? I'm like, I just hid in the fucking soda room for the last hour, dude. I'm like, why were you hiding? I was like, I don't know, dude. I got unpaid parking tickets. I don't know what these cops were looking for.
I'm Hispanic.
Yeah. Like,
I don't want to get shot.
Dude, Hispanic, we panic, man. The Spanish, we vanish. We out. I don't know if they're ice. Like, you know, like whatever, man.
I know Danny.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm out, dude. I'm like, I'm not dealing with this shit. So yeah, till he hit in a fucking soda room for like an hour.
They used to do after hours above the Spice spot on 3rd Street. What's that place called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Codebreaker, the band Codebreaker. So they used to, I mean, it was jumped off, straight electro shit. They used to throw fucking A-bars up there that were fun as fuck, dude. I mean, full on like slamming dance parties up there. It was super, super cool.
So I want to say that's Oak Barrel now.
Okay.
And then I think that's still Andrew Ruka, who was at Brothers for a bunch of years. And he had, I'd played there, I did a wedding there a bunch of years ago. Chris Engel did his wedding. And, like, Ruka was explaining to me the layout of the place, that like the upstairs, like all those apartments now are all Airbnbs, and like they all have their own themes to them and shit like that.
That's cool.
And he's like, yeah, dude, we charge like $400-$500 a fucking night to stay. And I was like, and like he like showed me some pictures, and I was like, that whole building's kind of cool because they have like underground parking. Yeah. So like you come in through the back, you park downstairs, and you like unload your gear, and you can like put in like the elevator, and it takes you up to the top floor. It was fucking phenomenal. That building in general is just a fucking cool place. Chris Engel's wedding, on the other hand, was fucking insane.
Yeah,
dude, he like. This is an old school soccer hooligan who would watch like Manchester United games with us, and like I would tell him same stories I'm telling you. I tell him about like me partying in Vegas and DJing and shit like that. And he always just thought it was really cool. He's like, dude, when I get married, you're gonna do my wedding. Well, sure shit. Meets a girl. He's like, I'm getting married, and I think this was like 4 or 5 years ago. And I did his wedding, and it was fucking insane. Like he was crowd surfing at his wedding.
Sweet.
Dude, they had him in a chair, and they're fucking throwing him up in the air and shit like that. I had the entire the entire group that was like there for the wedding. They were singing The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh,
like,
sweet, man.
Dude,
That's
we just
awesome.
had a blast.
I love
At
weddings.
one point he was like, yeah, dude, he's like, play some fucking Beatles. He's like, play Twist and Shout. Yeah. And he's standing up on top of a chair, and like during the crescendo towards the end of it, where it's like, and he's like bringing the crowd up, and then as it hits the chorus, the fucking room goes mental. Yeah. It was top 5 probably the best wedding I ever had.
That's
dude.
awesome.
It was just a blast from beginning to end. It was just a fun night, and dude, we had a blast. I haven't talked to him since his wedding. Like I knew he went on his honeymoon. I've missed seeing him, but I know he travels around all over the place. Like he's over in the Middle East, like doing not like contract work, but like
killing
contract work.
He was talking about murder.
Yeah.
Either way.
Not like contract, but contract.
Yeah. Writing contracts, not like doing contracts.
Exactly. Just wanted to make the clarification there.
Yes, it's different.
Don't kill me, Chris.
Please. That's fair. Excellent. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Good stuff. Hey, Brandon, how long did we go for, brother?
1:10.
A minute 10?
Oh, an hour 10.
Hour 10. I was like, that was not a fucking minute, brother. I think we did pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Did you got anything else you want to fucking bring up?
No, not yet. I'm planning on coming back on, so.
Oh, definitely, dude. Everyone, I want to have everyone on, every couple of months.
Cool.
And just rotate through a bunch of people.
Yeah, I got some big stuff coming up, so I think we're trying to do a service industry New Year's party at.
I want to get in on that for sure, dude.
It's going to be at Turner Hall this year. It's going to be the week after New Year, but it's going to be champagne toast, balloon drop for everybody that worked on New Year's Eve. We got sponsorship from some liquor vendors, but it's going to. I'm trying to get Harmar Superstar. So it's going to be a fucking dance party. We're going to do soul, funk, everybody dancing. It's going to be a good time.
Let me tell you, I'm Brown. I'm down.
Yeah.
Sign me the fuck
I'm Brown.
up.
I am down. Excellent. Yeah, it's going to be fun, dude. So looking forward to summer, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for the pandemic to be over with.
Getting over with the fucking COVID. I was just talking with Matt from Taylor's last night, and they want to do their anniversary party during the summer. And he was like, dude, he's like, I want to lay out that stage out on like Jefferson and Wells. He's like, I want you to just bring your DJ homies. He's like, we'll do some bands during the day. He's like, I want you and your homies to close this out. Yeah. And I was like, immediately, I was like, I got 4 homies that I just love playing with. And
sure.
That's Steve Marks, that's YB, and that's Eric or E-Rich, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was like, let me talk to those dudes. I think it'd be like probably from like 9 till, and we got like right at 2, we got to abruptly stop. I think that's what we did for like the 20th anniversary. And I was just like, I was like, those guys, I was like, take care of us. I'm like, we'll throw a fucking party, dude. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
This summer is going to jump off. I think everybody's ready.
The only thing that I'm concerned about is I just saw that, I forgot which festival it was. It wasn't Polish. Festa Italia. Thank you. Festa Italiana. They canceled that. They moved Summerfest to September. I think they're doing that to kind of give people time to get vaccinated and so on and so forth. Yeah. But I'm concerned about the fact that our concert's going to be back. We went through this with one summer already. Yeah. I don't want to go through it again. I understand it, but at the same time, like Cassidy said it best, man. I want to start paying $14 for a beer and seeing a band again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
Or a warm beer at the rave.
Yeah. Listen, if they're not going to be willing to open it up for us, we'll be doing underground parties. So.
Again, I am fucking brown. I'm down. Stay tuned to my Twitter. _ DJ Zerocool on Twitter. DJ Zerocool on Instagram. And then just search up DJ Zerocool on Facebook. What you're probably watching on right now. This will be uploaded to YouTube later. I think that's it, brother. Yeah. I had a blast shooting shit with you. Thanks for killing my scotch, brother.
Yeah, it was great.
DJ, we'll do this again. Hey, the rest of you, thank you for tuning in. Once again, check out the social medias. Shout out to Mojo, MKE. If you get a chance, go over there and go support Todd, Dano, the rest of the group. If you want to catch the UFC fights next week, come hang out with me at Brothers. We'll be doing that. I'm going to be there early. I think the undercard starts at 7. It's a fucking stacked card. You follow mixed martial arts at all?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but it's just skateboarding.
It's going to be a good card. Come out to Brothers. Shout out to Uncle Bucks. They're going to be hosting the fights as well. Venue I work with. They got that fucking upstairs. It's just fucking beautiful right now. So if you can't get in at Brothers, go over to Uncle Bucks. Go show those guys some love. Shout out to DJ Lawrence. DJ Broadway Lawrence and the rest of the crew over there. I think that's it. That's all I got to plug. Listen up, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Next week is post-fight. We'll have Scott Cushman back on. He's going to talk post-fights style bender with me, and we'll talk about fights. We'll talk about him coaching Ben Askren for the Jake Paul fight. A couple other guests that are going to be coming on later this month. A couple of artists. Who else I have coming on? Another DJ, former club owner, talking about some good old days, and band, and retired. I don't think he's retired, but
Alec Baldwin too, right?
Alec Baldwin will be in. He's going to talk politics and hamburgers, I believe. He was the one that was passed on the floor?
Yes.
And bratty ass kids. Listen, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Take care. Be safe. Mahalo.
Peace.